Hey everyone, I am your astrologer Wonder Girl taking you to new heights. This is your forecast for the full moon in Leo, which happens on February 9th, 2020 at 2:33 a.m. Eastern Time, or on February 8th, 2020 at 11:33 p.m. Pacific Time. It just depends what part of the country and really what part of the world that you are in, but it's happening very, very soon as of the time I'm posting this video. All right, what I think this full moon and Leo is really all about. It's about us trying to step into a very new life with new goals and dreams, with a new vision of our future after so much has changed. And it's about us trying to step into this new future in a way that we feel makes us happy, and in a way that we feel is connected to our hearts, and in a way that we feel, just a part of and is real, and like we can make it happen to move forward on. And I think there could be a lot of passion and a lot of drive at this full moon in order to do that, in order to be happy in a very different space. However, with passion and drive could also come a lot of anger and frustration if things aren't going according to plan, that we also might have to learn how to deal with or to temper at this time. All right, so that's what I am going to talk about today. Now, to go ahead and get started, I always like to place it first on the chart. Here is the moon, which is in Leo. The full moon is happening at exactly 20 degrees. And I know it's a full moon, not only because the moon's in Leo, but also because the moon is opposite the sun, which is in Aquarius. And when the moon is opposite the sun, that's what makes a full moon a full moon. Okay, what are full moons all about? Full moons are all about usually ending something or completing something, stepping into it. What are we ending or completing? Well, it has to do with Leo matters because the moon is in Leo. Maybe I'll do completing first, stepping into. Leo has a lot to do with our heart, with what makes us happy, with what we're passionate about, with what our soul connects to in some way. Leo also has to do a lot with courage, with bravery, with boldness, and with leadership. So what I think is going on here is that we are trying to step into more of our happiness, more of our joy, more of what it is that we love, more of what it is that we feel connected to. And with Leo also having a lot to do, or being the sign of leadership, courage, and boldness, not only do we want to step into more of what makes us happy, but we want to at this time take more of the risks and be more bold and be more courageous in order to get the desires of our heart and soul met. All right, so that's what I think is really going on here. If I didn't want to interpret this as like stepping into the desires of our heart and soul and taking big, bold moves or risks in order to get there, full moons can also indicate endings of some sort. So what could we be ending? We could be ending an old thing that used to make us happy. We could be ending old passions, old desires of our heart, an old way of taking risks, or an old way of leading our life more so in favor of a new way that is going to be better for us, or that is more true to us right now. All right. And I think that's what is going on, just to give like the very general explanation of this full moon in Leo. All right, now why is it important for us to be happy at this point in time, to reach for our happiness, and to be bold and courageous to get it, and to let go of things that no longer make us happy or that are no longer meant for us? Well, I'm going to have to go back, of course, to Saturn and Pluto and now Jupiter, which are in Capricorn. All right, this alignment has passed for the most part. Saturn and Pluto have come conjunct. They aren't going to come conjunct again, even though they're still going to be hanging around rather close to each other in Capricorn for quite some time. And now that Jupiter's there, what is Saturn and Pluto, or what really has Saturn and Pluto been about for the past few years that it was happening? Well, Saturn and Pluto for the past year or so was really all about us changing the big structure of our lives so that we could overcome things that have been going on, especially for the past 35 years, because that's how long it takes Saturn and Pluto to come exact. It's been about changing our lives to overcome big habits, big patterns, big things in our lives that have persisted for possibly the past 35 years or even the past 10 years. give you another time frame, that we did not like, right? It's about getting rid of all of that. Either getting rid of the past 35 years, stuff that happened that we did not like, or stuff that we've outgrown, so that we can set ourselves up for the next 35 years doing things very differently in a very different way, moving onward. And now that that change is more or less complete, I still think we're going to have another like 6 to 8 months of building the new life for the next 35 years. That still needs to happen. But now more so that that shift is complete, or has happened. Now that we have more or less like finished with the past 35 years, like cleaned a lot of it out, gotten rid of it, now that that has happened, which really came exactly like last month, that the eclipse is in January. Now that that's occurred, no more old 35 years, no more old habits and patterns, no more of this stuff. We now, with the sun in Aquarius, have had to envision a new life for ourselves, a new life very different from the past 35 years, a new life without all the karma or the hardship of the past 35 years that have brought us down. And this full moon in Leo, just to bring the context together with what's going on right now, this full moon in Leo is saying, now that I'm finally out of the 35-year karmic habits and patterns, or the 35-year stuff I didn't like, or the past 10-year stuff, now that I'm out of that, even if I still have yet to build more of what's next, but now that I'm out of the old bad stuff, how can I see a different life for myself without the old karmic stuff? And how can I step into this new life, this new future now in the present? To me, Leo also has a lot to do with the present time. So there's a lot of us saying, this big thing, just to bring it all together, is about us saying, now that I'm no longer in the karma, the habits, the patterns, the hard things of the past, even though I still have more left to do to get over it, now that I'm for the most part no longer into it, how can I not only see a new life for myself with new experiences, but really begin to step into it, to create it, to make it happen more fully, to take the risks to do it, and to be happy in this very different space. And that's where it comes in, this full moon in Leo, us taking the risks to ensure that we're creating new situations and not falling back into old patterns. And it also becomes as well the letting go of, again, the old things that we didn't like. All right. So that's what is happening there. And with Jupiter so close by to the Saturn and Pluto, once we let all the old stuff from the past 35 years that we don't like, or that didn't make us happy, or that no longer make us happy go, once we let all that go and move towards the future to be more bold, to step into it, then it's going to get easier as Jupiter moves closer and closer to Saturn and Pluto to build the new thing that's coming, and to make a different life with different experiences that we're happier in actually occur and take us further. All right, that's what's going on there. Now, the major, I suppose the closest aspect or so that this full moon is making is going to be right over here, the moon in Leo making a trine to Mars in Sagittarius. What is this about? Well, this to me is a lot about, of course, whenever you get Mars involved, especially when they're both in fire signs, the moon and Mars is a lot about passion. And especially Mars being the planet of action, drive, passion, and drive. So what's going on here is we are out of, for the most part, the past 35 years of karma, of drama, of things we didn't like or have outgrown. And we want to step into a new future in new, bold ways that make us happy, that we really do like and enjoy now, that can sustain us for the future and that we can build on. And the moon trine Mars is us so excited here to build something new and different in our lives that we actually have a possibility of really liking, and that's actually better for us than what we've been doing before. So I see this Mars trine moon that this full moon is in, of like us being excited, finally a chance for me to create something different for my life, better, that I like, that I'm excited about, that I can be happy about, and just wanting so badly to make it happen. But even though that is a good thing, like none of the things that I've said so far are inherently bad. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of the things I've said so far are actually really good things. So even though all of that is good, I want to be happy in a different space with a different future now, and I've got the passion and the drive to achieve it and to make it happen and to be bold. Even though all of that is good, there are some challenging things going on at this full moon that could make it very hard to do that, or could make us very, very frustrated, right? Some of the things that are going on is that this moon in Leo, even though it's making a trine to Mars and Sagittarius, it's making a few quincunxes over here to Neptune and Pisces, and to like the Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter stuff here, which is essentially a yod that the full moon is making. And this is hard because even though we've got a lot of passion and a lot of drive to finally build something different and better in our lives than what we've had for the past 35 years, that we actually feel more free in and like we're more connected to, it could still be difficult. It could be difficult because with the quincunx to Neptune and Pisces, there could still be, Pisces to me is two things, the past and our emotions. There could still be some things about the past that we're trying to make sense of, that we're confused about, or that we're trying to overcome, that are still hanging around, okay? If it's not past stuff still hanging around that we're confused about, then Neptune and Pisces, especially while Mercury is in Pisces, which I'll talk about in a minute, about to go retrograde, can also bring like emotional confusion, the sense of like, what am I feeling? You know, like that's going on. And so what's happening to bring it together is that we're trying to be happy in a very new and different space. Now that so much in our lives has changed, now that our lives are going in a new and different direction, we're trying to be happy in this space, and we want to be happy. We want to make the moves in order to be it, in order to do it, in order to have it happen right now. But it's hard because we're still confused about the past and what it all meant, or because there are still some things from the past that are fading and going away, but that we're trying to put in their proper space. And it could also be hard too as well because of our emotions, because of what we're feeling. You know, this new space that we're now in, maybe I'll talk about Mercury and Pisces for a minute. This new space that we're now in our lives without the stuff of the past 35 years is very different than what we've been in before. So there's the sense of, who am I inside? Who am I inside in this different space? I don't know. I think I know, but I'm not sure what I'm feeling about this new and different me. So there is a lot of heavy emotional stuff that could be weighing us down, preventing us from moving as quickly forward as we might like to be happy. And if it's not preventing us from moving quickly forward, then it's frustrating the process and making the process a little bit upsetting, because it's this moment of like, I should feel really good in this space. So like, I kind of am getting the sense of that from this alignment, this feeling of, I should feel good in this space. I should feel victorious. I should feel successful. I should feel so great in this new space after all this hard work that I've done this past year to overcome all this hard karmic stuff. And I don't. You know, like that's kind of the sense that I get. I should feel good. I want to feel good in this different space, all the hard work I've done, but why am I emotionally feeling weird? You know, why emotionally have I not processed some things? Why from the past are things still, they're not quite around, like I've overcome them, or I've got a different perspective on them, but why are things from the past like still, I don't know, it's frustrating, it's confusing, it's emotional, tampering the passion or frustrating it a bit. On the other side of that, we've got the Saturn, Pluto, Capricorn, and the Jupiter stuff there. And Capricorn is a lot about building something seriously, you know, building something that's important, that can last the test of time. So not only are we trying to do things to be happy in this new life right now that we're excited about and feeling very emotional and frustrated and confused about the past and who we're becoming and what's next and what we need even to feel better, there's another part of us that's like, well, I can't just do anything. I can't just be bold and take any old risk that I want right now in order to move forward. I have to be serious. I have to be serious to make sure that these old habits, patterns, things from the past 35 years that I did not like don't continue to come back. I have to be serious to make sure that they are really gone. And I still have to be on guard in order to make sure that these things are not going to come back. And I have to continue not only to be on guard to make sure that these things don't come back, but I also have to make sure that I'm being diligent about the new stuff that I'm creating as well, to make sure that those happen right or in the way that will get me the best result. So I think even though I want to say this full moon in Leo, big, bold moment to feel so happy in a new space, to take huge risks be courageous, feel so successful. There's a part of me that's like, it's just not there, even though the drive is there, even though the passion is there. To be happy in a new space, it's hard because we're emotional, because we're sensitive, because we're confused about what we're feeling and who we are now in this different space with everything that's gone on from the past. And because we have to be serious to make sure that the things we do to be happy at this time are going to be with us for the long term and not just a flash in the pan, and are going to be what we need to move forward in the right ways. And we're having to learn here how to bring the two together with the yod, really. We're having to learn how to take big risks to be happy in a new space, even if we are heavy, even if we are serious, and even if we are emotional. And we got to find a unique way a lot of times with yods in order to do it. So the point of this full moon is not like, oh, well, I got so many serious and emotional things going on, so forget being happy, I'm just never going to be happy. You know, and the thing too about this full moon is not, well, you know, if I'm never going to be happy now in my life, so I've got to do whatever I need to be happy and forget being serious and forget my emotions. It's not that. We have to find a unique way to say, you know what, how can we have to find a unique way to bring it together. To not neglect the serious stuff, to not neglect the emotions in our pursuit for happiness, okay? But not to not pursue happiness at all, focus on all the serious emotional stuff. We have to find a way to do both. And I want to tell you that the solution is going to be easy. I want to tell you that once you find that solution to be happy amidst much seriousness and emotions that's going on, that everything's going to be great. But I'm worried that it might not feel like we want it to feel, because at the same time that this full moon is happening, we have Venus now in Aries about to conjunct Chiron. Okay, and these are two things that, well, I don't know if I want to say Venus in particular doesn't like, but these are two hard things, because Venus doesn't like to be in Aries, and because no planet really likes to be next to Chiron. So there comes this challenge. What is the challenge about? Well, with Venus has a lot to do with relationships. So this is a relationship challenge. Venus also has a lot to do with money, could bring problems with money up. And Venus also has a lot to do with ourselves and our value and how we feel about ourselves and our value and our self-worth and our confidence. And it could be difficult. It could be difficult for us to feel good about ourselves, to feel good about our money, and to have mutually respectable, equal partnerships as well, not only with Venus and Aries, but also with the Chiron influence. So there's this feeling of, I want to be happy in a new and different space now that I've gotten rid of more of the old karma, 35 years in my life than ever before. And I have a lot of the passion and drive to be happy and to be bold and to take risks. But even though I have the passion and the drive to be happy and to be bold, to take risks, it's hard for me to actually really do it, because there's still a lot of things that I'm confused about emotionally, about who I am in this different space, about the past and what it all means. And there are still a lot of things that I have to be serious about, that I move forward, that I can't just neglect. I can't just leave my feelings behind. I can't just leave all the hard work that I've done to get here. I can't just ruin that in a moment's notice. I have to, there's this thing, like I can't just go out into the sunset doing whatever I want. I have to pay attention to all these other things. And I think the point I'm really trying to get at with the Venus and Aries, I think what we're realizing is that in order for us to be happy in a different space amidst all these other pressures that we're feeling or that are coming at us, we may have to do Venus and Aries. Aries is a sign of action. We may have to do with relationships, money, and with our own selves, the uncomfortable thing. Chiron, we may have to do the thing we don't want to do in order to get our happiness met, or we may have to do the thing that terrifies us. We may have to do the thing that scares us deeply in our soul in order to get what we need to move forward. And that's the hard thing about this full moon in Leo. Not that we can't be happy. We can be happy in a different space. But just that in order for us to be happy in a different space, we're going to have to do the thing we don't want to do. We're going to have to do the thing that's going to upset us and we may have to do the thing also that's going to upset our bank account, and that's going to upset our relationships, and that's going to upset other people. Okay, if there's any time to do something that's going to upset ourselves or others, now would be the time to do it, because Venus in Aries and the moon in Leo, especially with Mars in Sagittarius, has lots of courage. So this puts us in a very interesting spot where I'm like, how do I want to bring this together? This puts us in a very interesting spot where we want to be happy in a new and different space, but where the thing that will make us happy personally is the same thing that's going to upset us and upset other people and upset our money. All right. Instead of us refusing to do any of that, instead of us drowning the emotion, the seriousness, the hard decision, the hard choice even about what's going on, instead of us drowning in all of that, the fire, the moon in Leo, all this other stuff is saying we have to do it. We have to do the uncomfortable thing that's going to upset ourselves, that's going to upset other people. We have to find the courage to do the hard thing, because at the end of the day, with Venus and Aries, it's our soul that matters. It's our own happiness. At the end of the day, I have to go to sleep with myself. At the end of the day, when I die, it's just me. It's just me that's going to answer before God. It's just me that's going to. So I think there's a thing that happens at this full moon in Leo. It's kind of complicated about how I'm coming to this conclusion, because there's a lot with Venus and Aries conjunct Chiron there to unpack. But I feel like, just to summarize what I'm in my mind, a lot of what's going on at this full moon in Leo is that we're saying, look, I want to be happy in this new and different space. It's very, very hard for me to be happy, but I can't neglect my happiness. I cannot live a life in which I am not happy. I cannot live a life in which my heart is not there. My heart has to be in it. My heart has to be in it. But in order to live a life in which my heart is in it, I have to do the uncomfortable thing that I don't want to do. And instead of us being wilting flowers at this full moon and saying, well, because being happy is so hard, and because being happy I have to do the thing I don't want to do, I'm just not going to do anything. Instead of us being wilting flowers at this full moon in Leo, we're saying, you know what, I got to find the courage and the strength within me in order to do what needs to be done, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the uncomfortable thing, and I'm going to move forward. And really, to me, I think that's the whole thing this full moon in Leo is saying. Although I suppose I should also just give a few more details about Venus and Aries. All right. Even though to me that was a very healthy way of expressing this full moon, I should mention that Venus and Aries, especially conjunct Chiron and Aries, can make us, especially while the moon is in a trine with Mars, can make us very, very impulsive. So for some of us, this could, I was like, for some of us, this could make us very courageous to do the uncomfortable thing that we need to sleep well at night, and to do it in a well thought out manner. But for others of us, Venus and Aries could make us impulsive, aggressive, and rash. And for some of us, we could act out too soon or in the wrong ways in order to get what we need to be happy. So the last thing that I really want to mention, I believe, about this full moon and about Venus and Aries conjunct Chiron is that there is a need to be thoughtful at this time. We could be feeling so much pressure at this full moon in Leo. It's not the most pleasant full moon is what I'm trying to say. We could be feeling so pressured in this full moon in Leo. I want to be happy. I'm not happy. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with everything else? I'm so confused. Mercury and Pisces, what's wrong? I just want to feel better. That some of us could act out, lash out, do things impulsively without thinking it through. Venus and Aries, that could create a whole host of problems, conjunct Chiron, in our lives with ourselves and with other people. And the key to this full moon in Leo, we got to slow the Venus and Aries down. The key to this full moon in Leo is to slow your roll, is to think things through. The key to this full moon in Leo is not to avoid doing what makes us happy. And it's not to just 100% do what makes us happy, no matter who or what we piss off. The thing about the full moon in Leo is to do what makes us happy amidst so many other heavy things going on in our life, in a way that is honorable and that is respectable and that is well thought out, even if we have to do some things that are going to upset other people or upset ourselves. And even though Venus and Chiron can create uncomfortable situations, blowouts, arguments, bad things, if we do things slow, if we do things more thought out, and if we do Venus conjunct Chiron with more authenticity, with more vulnerability, with more transparency, then this can actually be very positive, and we can actually start to create different situations for our lives that we feel like help us to heal, Chiron heal from a lot of old things. But it's the vulnerability, the authenticity, that and the slowness or slowing things down that will be key. You know, the way to me that Chiron does things is Chiron is kind of, especially at this point in time, like Chiron kind of says to people, places, and things, look, I got to do this thing. I know you're not going to agree with this thing I got to do, but I feel I have to do this in my soul in order to be happy in this different place. I honor your perspective. I respect your perspective, but this is my inner dialogue. This is my inner story. This is my challenge. This is my confusion. Let me share it to you, whether or not you understand. And this is what I need to do. And I'm going to try to do it in the best way that I know how to do a hard thing. So maybe that was a bit of a confusing way. Mercury is in Pisces, which is not a good thing, about to go retrograde. So maybe that was a very confusing way of explaining some of this stuff going on. But I feel like this full moon in Leo is about us doing what we need to be happy in our souls, to be happy in a very new and different space. But in order for us to do what it is that we need to be happy, we might have to break through some confusion, sit with some confusion, sit with some heaviness, and do things in a bit slower way that are more sensitive, more vulnerable, more authentic, with more of a real awareness of what's going on. Not to avoid being happy, but to do it in ways that aren't going to upset the apple cart as much, or that can not burn as many bridges. So sometimes burning bridges is necessary. But sometimes there's a way to do it as well so that the bridges don't get burned as destructively as they might be otherwise, or so that they can remain intact in some way. All right, and I would read the inside degrees, but a lot of the inside degrees for 20 Aquarius and Leo, actually some of them mentioned an inner journey, which to me makes sense with the Mercury and Pisces. I really do feel like there's a lot of emphasis on our interpersonal journey at this time. What do I need to be happy? What do I need that's missing? What do I need to feel right with my soul? That doesn't mean to neglect other people, be mean to other people, places, and things, but I do think the emphasis should be on getting what we need to feel good with ourselves and trying our best to integrate that into our relationships without sacrificing the needs of our soul, but without creating more damage than we need to as well. Now, your card for the full moon is the Hierophant. Upright, I love this card. The Hierophant to me is like an initiation into a new way of being and a new way of doing things, especially with the full moon being at the tip of a yod. To me, yods do indicate big graduation moments of some sort, or big moments to solidify something or to learn something or to move forward. And so to me, this full moon in Leo perhaps could be a really big moment for us to stand up for ourselves and for what we need and for what's important to us in a way that we have never before, or at least have not in recent memory, and to stand up for ourselves in a way, sometimes with the Venus Chiron and maybe with the Hierophant, that is more nurturing, more understanding, and more aware of our real situation as well. The Hierophant to me also is a card as well about teaching and bringing people along with you on your path like the best that you can. So perhaps this is another thing that I could say about this card. Not only is this full moon in Leo, an important moment for us to own the needs of our soul and to really step into those, but to take this, use this as an opportunity to try to teach other people who don't understand what we need, what it is that we need, and to bring them along with us, to not neglect what our soul needs, but to find ways to understand perhaps the stories that we're feeling and telling ourselves and what's going on. Hierophant. You know, I see this card as like initiating yourself into a secret knowledge and initiating other people. So maybe there's a need with the Mercury Pisces, because Mercury, I didn't mention, is in a trine with the North Node. Maybe there is also some time at this full moon, if we have to do things that are going to hurt other people, to use an opportunity not only to teach them what we need, but to help them see what's going on underneath the veil inside us, so that we can come together. The card at the bottom of the deck is the King of Swords, reversed. I think this to me is a lot about the King of Swords. Sometimes when I see kings reversed, this is can be an energy of being too controlling with your thoughts and too controlling with your mindset. And when I see the King of Swords, I might think of a letting go, especially with Mercury and Pisces. It's like, what is that that phrase from like the real world? You think you know, but you have no idea. So to me, I'm getting a sense of, especially combined with the Hierophant, it's a time to let go of our ideas, let go of our mindsets, let go of the things that we think we know about our lives and about who we were and about our relationships and about other people and about how we experience the world. It's time to let go of everything that we think we know that's true, so that we can allow space for what actually is true and for what actually is real, and to learn new things about ourselves and about other people that's more understanding and more in tune with what the current situation needs, especially now that Saturn Pluto has come exact and we are in some way in like the wild, wild west, like the wild, wild west of our new lives that we're about to create. And because we are in like a wild west of sorts, with a lot of things in our lives changing that we can now do whatever with, there is this sense to let go of whatever has occurred in the past or you thought occurred, and to reset the scores on relationships, money, our own selves, to be different and in a new space, and to allow it to happen. So that is your forecast for the full moon in Leo. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and I will talk to you later.